Now, for implementation and monitoring, to me, the implementation roadmap for this really starts out by being committed to doing this, and then working our way into assessment of the maturity levels, engaging the stakeholders so that we get broad-based consensus, making sure we understand the goals and those are reflected in our plan, getting our platforms up and running and training in place and that type of thing, making sure we're using the right technology. Everything is data driven now. There's so much data available, and we got to be careful we don't just overload data, but use it appropriately. And then we get our systems integrated. We're managing our KPIs, and once we get all these implemented, we're fully integrated and we have an operational system. And so one of the things I think is helpful to look at as we go through each of these phases, there's really, I think, a bit of a primary driver. Now, understand that risk weaves all the way through all the phases up through construction. But when we're in pre-project and schematic design, we're more heavily focused on cost. When we move into detailed design, we're really more heavily focused on time, and then we move back to cost, we move into claims, and then time during construction again. And here's how this works. So this is sort of my process as a digitally integrated system. In pre-project, primary need is cost forecasting, funding, cash flow, and then how the funding fits into the capital program. And so we're reporting on cost heavily. During schematic design, it's still about cost, but now we're monitoring the cost, and we're doing value planning and identifying cost drivers and monitoring that. As we move into detailed design, we're really moving more into schedule management because we have this design schedule we're monitoring, but we're establishing the master schedule. We're figuring out what the work packages are going to be, how they're going to be released. Is it what kind of phasing on the work packages? We're heavily looking at constructability and schedule constructability. We're confirming sequencing and looking at the overall project duration. As we move into construction documents, we're sort of back to cost. So we've established where we are, but it's all about developing the control estimate, getting the work packages identified and established, finalizing value engineering, and looking at contingencies. In the bid tender development, it's claims avoidance because now we're really finalizing the contract, making sure that we have a fair allocation of risk, we have the work package identified, and the scope and definition is finalized. And we have our language related to claims and disputes. During construction, we're much more heavily based on scheduling. And so we're looking to see that we have reasonable contractor schedules, that there's a timely analysis of delays when they happen, and we're optimizing the schedule as much as we can. So our reporting should be based on that. Post-construction, it's all about closing out, auditing, and claims. So we monitor that.